Hi guys, so Nigel Farage has put out a request for Tory candidates who are getting ready to stand in the upcoming local elections to defect to Reform UK. The Clacton MP said that for many, their natural home is not the Conservative Party but Reform. At the time of the recording of this, it's believed one Tory has defected following Farage's letter, but according to Richard Tice, there are many, many more. When he appeared on GB News, he was asked how many, but dodged the question, which is strange. However, will Tory councillors and candidates flip to Reform? I'm not so sure.
It's already working. It's amazing.
How many?
It's fantastic.
Give me numbers. How many?
We've got people from Essex to Scotland to the Midlands. Some have come over today. Some are coming over in the next few days, because you've just highlighted the key word, which is lifeline. And these are great people who are real Conservatives, who feel they've been completely and utterly abandoned by the wet, woke One Nation bunch that is really the sort of the mainstream of the Conservative Party.
But Richard, if you listen to Robert Jenrick, he's sorting that out. He's pledging to leave the HR. He's even talking about mass deportations, which you guys seemingly are afraid to do. So the question begs, if the Tories are sorting themselves out, as Robert Jenrick pledges to do, and if he is elected leader on November the 2nd, I think it is, why would they bother going to Reform?
Well, if you follow the betting markets, he's not got a Scooby-Doo of a chance. And look, you can't out-Farage. That is the key point. And I think people have realised that you just can't trust the Tory leadership. They say one thing and then actually consistently over years and years, election after election, have done just exactly the opposite. So up and down the country, councillors are looking over their shoulder and they're saying, actually, I'm a real Conservative. I agree with Reform policies. It's time for me to show some courage and move on over. And this is a precursor to the May elections next year, when we're going to be standing in thousands of seats across England. And we've got a cracking chance. I think we're going to win hundreds and hundreds of council seats. And it's just another significant step in the sort of growing momentum that Reform has.
Okay, so a few things to say about this. First of all, the Wets are not in charge of the Conservative Party at the moment. They're selecting Kemi Badenoch or Robert Jenrick. So I don't know what he's talking about, One Nation Tories, woke Tories, or whatever he called them. So I don't know why he's mentioning those, because they're obviously not in charge of the Conservative Party and will not be in charge of the Conservative Party going forward. It'll be somebody on the extremes. Now, he also mentioned about, well, look, all these people are abandoning the Conservative Party. There are so many people, the length and breadth of England, are willing to leave the Tories and join Reform because the Conservatives are no longer Conservatives. Now, the thing about this is people vote in local elections for different reasons than the national elections, than the general election. So, for example, it's normally on local issues. So what is Reform going to do on local issues? Now, are they going to win seats? Probably. You know, they didn't do very well at the last local elections, but a bad sign for Reform at the moment is there's been a number of councils that have flipped from Labour. But did they flip from Labour to Reform? No, they flipped from Labour to the Greens. They flipped from Labour to the Conservatives. They flipped to the Liberal Democrats, I believe. So Labour is doing badly at the moment on the local level. People are probably upset. Some people who came out to vote for them before have decided to sit at home, or they've decided to vote for other parties. So this is bad for Labour. But Labour's vote is not, it seems, going in the direction of Reform. It's going in the direction of the Tories, for example. So the Tories are actually seeing a bit of a resurgence, it seems, at least at the local level. We'll have to wait for by-elections to see it at the national level. But at least at the local level, we're seeing somewhat of a resurgence for the Conservatives. People flocking back to them, not in huge numbers, but in numbers big enough to keep Reform UK at bay. So at the local elections, I think Reform will pick up some seats, maybe a significant number. But their challenge, I don't see what they can offer Tory councillors or Tory candidates for councils, because people vote for different reasons on the local level. And the Conservative vote is pretty solid, I think, at the local level. while people are upset with MPs and upset with the government, they're less likely to punish councillors over this. Now, the Conservatives lost a huge number of councillors at the last local elections, and part of that was due to, people were not happy with central government. But they're not going to blame the Tories at the next local elections because the Tories are not in power. If they're angry with anyone, it'll be angry with central government, and central government is Labour. So I really don't understand the logic that Nigel Farage or Richard Tice is applying here. This idea that, we can sell a new type of conservatism to Conservative councillors or candidates and get them all over onto reform. You're focusing on the councillors and not on the voters, because if you're not able to convince voters to back you, then these candidates are not going to go anywhere. And I think it's more likely that voters are going to back Conservatives, if they've already voted Conservative in the past, then throw their support behind reform. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.